G'day dudes, and now this is a story, Prendth, wanting to be cooler than his bullies. This is it. Frank Prendth lived with his parents in the Canberra suburb of Page near Belconnen, and as a kid he was noticed as the cool kid, who kids quite often said he was like us man. And at first Frank didn't know what they were saying, but he eventually realised later they thought he was better than anyone in his family. Frank went out showing off his muscly legs to all the girls in Canberra, and girls who wouldn't have touched him anywhere else. But Frank tried to make sure that the Canberra people had no knowledge of that. But his brother Thomas tried to tell everybody, but he had to make sure that Frank caved in to being an oldie. And Frank said, "You ain't getting me, brother boy. The Canberra people like me more than you, so try and find your own friends, loser." And Thomas said, "I am not a loser. I want to show Canberra the kind of square you were before, Frank." And his parents said, "Let Frank enjoy himself. With his new friends, you will still have your friends, so give him a break. Because really, you were just a teaser, and they never win the war. No, so little baby Frankie have his baby bottle. So let little baby Frankie have his baby's bottle. He might feel like he's like the Canberra people, but really, he's a big loser. He'll never be as cool as you, Thomas. So just enjoy being the uncool one for a while." You see, Frank went to the Raiders matches when they played at the great old Seaford Oval in Queanbeyan with his mate Don Cooper. And on days when the Raiders won, the bus would have had Raiders players chanting songs the whole way home. And if they lose, which at the start was mostly, every Raider stand was quiet. While the Raiders, if the other team were very loud, Don Cooper wasn't the easiest friend for Frank, mainly because he used to fight the opposing team supporters because they disturbed his resting on the bus. While Frank teased Don, Don just sat there and he said, "Give up! You're a loser, you turd." Mind you, the bullies never heard Frank say that, but if they did, Frank would have been friends with them before he left school, because they thought that Frank was cool, the way he laughed at his mate like that. And every time they got home, there would be the phone call. 15 minutes later, they both had dinner, with Don ringing Frank up to abuse him because he laughed. And Frank said, "Mate, I laughed because you acted like a loser." Because all through his school, Don acted like a dickhead. Don rang up to abuse him. "I laughed because you acted like..." And all through his school, Don acted like a dickhead and made Frank feel like that at the Raiders and all the cannons over each was too fit for Don. And since he realised that, Frank said to Don, "Hey Don, I am fitter than you. I am fitter than you." And Don said, "I am fitter." But as soon as he woke up and he fell over in the shower, and Frank said, "It doesn't happen to fit ones," Don was really sick of Frank saying that, so he slowly tried his best to turn everyone in Canberra off him. But then Robert Glend. But still, they teased him. And he left there and went to a team rebuilding course, which is called TRY, which meant Training Recreation for the Young. And Frank was hopeless at everything there. And there, about 4 days of going there, talking to nerdy friends, and being teased because he knows nothing about playing these types of sports, Frank left and said he will never work because the world is fucking out to get him. So he decided to take Robert Glenn's advice and went out into the streets of Canberra as well as the Canberra CBD and played cool for all the partygoers and did a bit of volunteer work. But he wanted to keep away from all them losers from his past because he has found his own mojo, and that was playing cool for Yimit Yare kids or Yimit Yare people. And eventually he got a real job and yes, befriended Frank, and they spoke behind Don's back, laughing as well. This was very fun. So much in fact, any time that Robert was showing signs of uncool, Frank said, "You're not cool either." And after 2 years, Frank left them to move on, but everyone started to tease Frank since then. You see, he joined car detailing course at Tate, and everyone teased him. And he said, "You ain't scaring me. I am like Robert." Frank is the only one from his school, and Try and TAFE, and really, Frank has a lot of problems dealing with the teasing bug. There's not much to say more about that. Obviously, he had some problems, but also you look at the ending. Could be Frank probably went through a life, and he's probably moving on to his next step. There's always going to be a teaser in the next step. You know, you're always going to get teased in your life, particularly if you've got a bit of you're a bit different to the world. Like with me, not many people have read as many poems like this over YouTube. Well, there are people, but not in the same style as what I do. And I can sort of say I'm a bit like all three of them. The Don Cooper is the me who's a bit frustrated with life. The Robert Glenn is the me who doesn't know much about life. And the Frank is the me wanting to be in the world, but can't be in the world. You know what I mean? So maybe I might have left that unfinished because I wanted to finish it on YouTube so the world could see. Okay, catch you later.